Well, hello there. We're back, and Linda's back too.
Here we are.
Both of us. So today, the topic of the day is something that you've probably been hearing quite a bit about, unless you've been living under a rock for the last couple of years. And the word is mindfulness. Now, I know that when some of you hear that word, you have a very clear understanding of what it means. Others may have heard it, but maybe not so clear about exactly what that refers to. And also, why in a series of talks that are allegedly, anyway, about relationships, why mindfulness would be something that would be relevant. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And we're not going to just talk about what mindfulness is, but we're going to give you an opportunity to practice mindfulness during this talk. We're going to give you some guidance for those of you who need it in the process of practicing mindfulness, being mindful. So we're not going to just describe the concept, but hopefully everyone is going to have a chance to experience that.
So we want to define the term clearly, because I think there's some confusion among some people about what it really is. And we define it as non-judgmental awareness. So that's meeting our experience moment to moment and staying present with the impression of the experience that we're having, the feelings, the sensations, and to the best of our ability, not being in judgment. So maybe one of the things that we notice is your back feels sore, your neck feels sore, your head feels sore, and there's an impulse to want to push it away. And the Buddhists call that aversion. Or if you're feeling really happy, you might feel like you want to grasp on it to hold on to it. So when you practice mindfulness, it's all part of the passing show. No pushing away, no grasping and holding on. So as we do the practice over and over and over and over again, we are less judgmental and more open to our experience. When we haven't practiced mindfulness, when we start to tune in to what's going on and watch our mind, the Buddhists call it monkey mind, as if the ideas are the monkey leaping from one branch to another. Busy mind, active mind, sometimes feeling fragmented in our experience because the mind is so busy, and we feel like something's missing, and actually something is missing. What's missing is the feeling of wholeness. So when we practice mindfulness over a period of time, that sense of, I'm here, I'm present, I'm experiencing what's here to be experienced, and I'm feeling whole. So there's a certain peace and spaciousness there, and this is one of the best things that you can do for a relationship, is to practice non-judgmental awareness, because don't we get judgmental a lot about our own experience and our partners?
We do. Right. So I know that Linda mentioned the word Buddhist, and I want to clarify here. This is not a religious phenomenon. This is not Buddhism. However, Buddhism, as well as many other spiritual and religious paths and practices, do involve mindfulness. Prayer can be a form of mindfulness. There's a lot of different ways of being mindful. We're going to provide you today with one example of how you can bring your awareness, because mindfulness really is not about controlling what you experience. It's about controlling how you respond to what you're experiencing. So one of the ways to do that is to become aware of when you're not aware, when your mind is in the process of being distracted by thoughts that are pulling you away from what's happening in this moment. So one of the questions that I really like to ask people when we're working with them individually or with couples is,
what are you experiencing?
Oh, that one too.
Oh, I thought that's what you were going to say.
Well, that is one. What I was going to say is, which is pretty much the same thing. What's happening?
Mm-hmm.
What's happening? And I mean that literally. Like, what is going on in your field of experience right now? What's showing up there for you? What's happening in your body? What are you noticing? What thoughts, if any, might be present right now? Direct your awareness, direct your attention to what's happening in the field of your experience. And like Linda said, to bring a non-judging awareness, which is really easier said than done, because most of the time we respond or we react to what we're experiencing so quickly, so automatically, that we don't even realize that what we're really experiencing is the judgment of what's going on. So let's say that I'm aware that I just got a shooting pain in my back. And I have an automatic, we humans seem to have an automatic tendency to want to resist or push away any experiences that are unpleasant, any physical experiences, any emotional experiences, any mental experiences, to push it away, to resist it. It's natural. You touch a hot stove and you automatically pull your hand away. Or by the same token, if there's something that we're experiencing that's pleasant, what do we want to do? We want to sustain it. We want to hold it. We want it to continue. We want to cling to it. And these responses happen so quickly and so automatically that we don't even realize that we are responding to our reaction, that we're not actually responding to the experience itself. So what practicing mindfulness does is it slows down the film. It slows it down enough so that we can begin to see what the actual experience is underneath the reaction to it. So you want to say a little bit about how this is relevant to relationships? Or?
It's wonderful, and it's for everybody. And I'm really glad that you made the point about this is not religious. If you have a religion and that really serves you and this could be part of it, that's great. But you don't have to be a part of any religion to practice this non-judgmental awareness. And one of the things that's so important to know, because people have misconceptions about it, you don't have to sit down and do this at a particular time in a particular place and sit on a cushion or sit on a chair and be completely silent the whole time. And it doesn't have to last an hour, and you don't have to have a shrine. You don't have to have an altar, none of that. Just as you go through your life each day, and particularly the people who are most important in your life, as you're interacting with them, to slow down the rate of the film of your life, to be present. And if they're present, the chances that you're actually going to meet and have a meaningful connection and exchange some information that will be deeper than the superficial level that people often relate at, is good for relationships. It deepens relationships. It makes a stronger bond. And that's the way in which couples, for instance, share more intimately with each other. They connect. I like to acknowledge Sylvia Boorstein because I learned the phrase talking meditation from her, that the rate of speed with which you interact and discuss things with each other is a little slower than our normal way of speaking, and that you deliver a message, and rather than they're shooting their response right back, they really take it in and they're with it, they feel into it, they think into it, and then deliver their response. And then we do the same. We take a little bit more time to be with it, to experience it, to see how that lands on us, to see what associations we have with that. And so it tends to be a deeper form of connection that leads both people towards feeling their individual wholeness and feeling as a unit that they're bonded, connected, and whole. And that's really good for relationships.
There's a saying, and I really love it because it's so true, that you can't ever get enough of what you really don't need. And so many of us we spend a lot of time trying to get and hold on to and not lose things that really don't fulfill us at a deep level. One of the things that motivates people to get into relationships in the first place is the desire to feel whole. I feel more whole when I'm with you. It fills a hole in me when we connect. And connection is so vitally important in relationships. And when you are really present with yourself, the possibility of connecting deeply to another person is there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not there when you can be with somebody, you can be in a crowd and you can feel lonely. You can be with your beloved and not really feel that you're with them or that they're with you, because one or both of you is someplace else. You're thinking about something, you're distracted. And so, your body's there, but you're not really fully present. When you practice mindfulness, and like Linda said, it's not necessarily something that you have to designate a particular period of time or a place where you sit down and go through this as a ritual. That's okay to do, but you can also take mindfulness pauses in your life. It's when
Mini breaks.
Right. And what I like to do that I find really is supportive of our relationship is that when we have a conversation, that we have gotten into the practice of putting some space in between the my hearing of what you say, and then my response to it. Because that gives me a chance to really allow myself to absorb the meaning of what you're saying, and then to really experience what is it that awakens in me? What is it that activates in me? What does that trigger in me?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you may have noticed that so many of us, we get into these interactive patterns in which there's practically no space at all between the speaking, the hearing, and then the responding. It's just like that.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't really attune ourselves to, okay, so what does it feel to hear that? What am I now experiencing? And can I speak from that place? Here's what happens when we don't extend the pause enough. What happens is that whatever our default is, and most of the time, like I said earlier, our default is to either want to hold on to what's pleasant or to push back on what isn't. So that's what kicks in when we're on automatic. Mm-hmm. When we're practicing mindfulness, and we have a chance to check in, we can really have an interaction that's grounded in our presence rather than our reactivity. And that makes all the difference in the world. So you want to say something before we finish?
I just want to make one important point to clear up some confusion that sometimes people have before you do the guided visualization. And that's, some people have the idea that you sit in meditation and you practice mindfulness so that you can go for the bliss. And we want to assure you that the process of doing mindfulness is being with what is. So it's not going to all be bliss. When you're feeling joyfulness, when you're feeling gratitude, when you're feeling appreciation, when you're feeling excitement, yes, you will experience those and you will really feel them fully. But also when you're sad or when you're angry or when you feel guilty or when you feel ashamed, those experiences will also be highlighted, which is one of the reasons people sometimes avoid doing mindfulness process, because sometimes you have to be with some unpleasant feelings and sensations. But all of this is for a good purpose, to make room for it all. And when we make room for our own experience, it expands us, and we're allowing the people in our life to be who they are with their feelings and with their experience. And we're more spacious about making room for others.
It's very important. It's very important. Yeah. So without further ado, I'm going to give you some guidance, which you are free to use and follow if you'd like. And if this is something that you have, if you have your own means of practicing this, you can just direct your attention to your own experience and just allow my words to kind of float in over your awareness. Don't even think about them. Just, it'll be like background music that you don't, when you're in the supermarket, it's there, but you don't even hear it. So if it's helpful for you, feel free to engage and respond to my guidance. Like we said earlier, mindfulness can be very, very brief. And you can take, as we do during the course of a day, many little mini breaks where we may just take a moment or two. And, you know, when we realize we're caught up and just say, whoa, wait a minute, take a breath or two and check in. What's going on with me right now? Just to attune ourselves to our inner experience. And also, you know, at the other end of the spectrum, for people who really want to practice this intensely, you can sit down and take 30 or 45 or 60 minutes, and you know, really do something that's more extended and focused, and see how that is too. We're going to probably do just a few minutes now. And this can be extended. You could do basically what I'm going to be encouraging you to do over a much longer period of time, or you could condense it and have it be even shorter. But this is just an example of what it's like. So it's always a good idea to begin by getting into a comfortable seated position. And there are some orientations that really are very strict and rigid about sitting with a straight back and adhering to certain principles in terms of your posture. We're more relaxed about it. It's up to you to decide. But it is generally a good idea not to be holding anything in your hands, to have a reasonably straight back, just not to be, you know, slouched like this, but to try to keep yourself reasonably straight, not to cross your arms or your legs. And it's also a good idea, in order to kind of screen out any distracting visual distractions, to either close your eyes or to bring them to a soft focus so that you stay awake. Because sometimes, your body might get the message, oh, it's time to take a nap when your eyes are closed. And if that is an issue for you, you might want to not close them, but bring them to a soft focus so that they're almost closed and there's some light coming in. So just allow yourself to begin by getting into a comfortable position. And if you want to close your eyes, that's fine. And begin by just becoming aware of the feeling of being inhabiting this body. Just notice your experience of your physical presence. And notice where your attention goes when you begin to respond to that invitation. Does it go to your body, your whole body, your body in general? Does it go to a particular place where there may be some distress or discomfort or resistance or even pain? Or does it go to an experience of physical pleasure, the feeling of being relaxed? And again, bringing a non-judging awareness where you are neither clinging to the present experience of pleasure nor pushing away the feeling of discomfort or unpleasantness. Simply bringing awareness. Oh, I feel that tightness in the back of my neck. I experience my heart beating. I'm noticing and experiencing the movement of my breath. I'm feeling my hands making contact with each other. Just noticing, bringing a non-reactive awareness. And you might notice that there is a change in your experience simply by bringing this non-judging awareness. You might notice that your overall experience is in some way impacted by slowing down, by paying attention, and relaxing, and breathing. No need to adjust the depth or breadth of the breath. No need to control it. Your body knows exactly how to breathe. So just allow yourself to experience what it feels like to not have to be concerned about breathing. We're so lucky that we're able to turn that responsibility over to our body that knows exactly how to breathe and will handle that for us even when we're asleep. That's one of the things that we don't have to try to control. And an aspect of your experience that you might have just engaged is the process of thinking, contemplating, concerning yourself on a mental level. Awareness of what's present in the mind, thoughts. You might also be aware of sounds that are coming into your awareness. The sound of my voice. The sound of the background noise. Nothing that you need to do about it. Being mindful means that there's really nothing that you need to do at all, because you don't do mindfulness. You be mindful. You have awareness without judgment. Nothing that you need to think about, which doesn't mean that thoughts won't come into your awareness. They will. What to do with it when the thoughts enter into awareness? There's nothing you need to do. You don't need to respond to that thought, even if it sounds urgent. Ooh, I forgot to leave that message this morning. I don't want to forget to get back to that person. I just realized that it can wait. Give yourself permission to let go of the need to do anything, even if it feels like it needs to be done now. Now, if the house is starting to burn down, you might want to interrupt your mindfulness for that. But there's really not too many things that have that level of urgency. Giving yourself permission to simply be, to take yourself off duty, to stop planning, to stop thinking obsessively about things, to stop worrying, to stop trying to answer questions, just to allow the mind to do what it does. And what it does is it thinks, it analyzes. Nothing wrong with that. It's very important. It's necessary. But it's not necessary to be responsive to the commands that the mind sometimes gives us. See what happens when you don't respond to the shoulds that you sometimes hear your mind telling you. Well, thanks for letting me know that. Thanks for sharing. And then come back. Come on back after you've acknowledged what's present in the mind. And what you come back to, because it's very helpful to have a focal point. What you can come back to is the breath. Because that's one thing that you can always count on to be there. And not to come back to the thought of, oh, now I need to breathe, because you're already breathing. And not to think about the breath or the breathing process, but to actually feel the breath, to experience the movement of the belly rising with the in-breath and then falling with the out-breath. To experience the flow of air through the nostrils. And to watch it. To watch through your experience, to feel that movement of air as it comes in through the nostrils and see if you can notice a point at which the in-breath stops and becomes the out-breath. And see if you can notice that tiny space in between the in-breath and the out-breath. How attentive can you be to your experience? When judgments come up, when assessments about what you like and don't like and what you need to do, and thoughts that pull you away from clear awareness, try not to judge yourself or judge your mind for having those thoughts. Try not to figure out, why am I doing this? What's wrong with it? I want to have a quiet mind. Mindfulness is not about having a quiet mind. It's about noticing the noise in the mind. It's about not reactive to the dictates of the mind. It's about being present with whatever is present within you. To take a break from the responsibility that we all live with about having to do something about something, having to be somebody, nothing to do, no questions that need to be answered right now. Simply being. And not concerning yourself with the content of the thought, simply noticing when thoughts occur and without needing to engage them, coming back to the next breath. Or the next sensation in the body. Or noticing the next emotion that comes up. And in a moment, I'm going to begin counting backwards from 5 to 1. And with each number that I hit, you're going to find yourself moving increasingly from being attentive to the inner world to being a little bit more attentive to the outer world until I get to 1. And when I do, you'll find yourself fully present and re-engaged with the outer world and still connected to your inner experience. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh. So it's okay to open your eyes.
Thank you.
Gee, my eyes were closed, and so I lost track of the time.
Uh-huh.
So we've gone a little bit over the time that we usually do, but
That's okay.
that's okay.
That's okay. I wanted to make a couple closing remarks. Also quoting Sylvia Boorstein, who I love and trust and have confidence that she really knows what she's talking about, said, we don't ever have to empty our mind. So if you have the false idea that the point of doing the mindfulness meditation is to have a completely empty mind.
Good luck with that one.
She says it's a lot even to have it less full and to slow down even partially, because most of us in this culture are moving at warp speed, and so is our mind. So we deserve to have a break. And sometimes what I hear from people is, oh, I think this mindfulness stuff is a really good idea. I really ought to sit in meditation, but I don't have time between my career and my family. And I just want to mention that the Dalai Lama has quite a full schedule, and he meditates 4 hours a day. So if you're selling yourself a bill of goods about not having time to meditate, consider that again, because a little bit can go a long way. It's a great gift to yourself, and it's a gift to the people around you to become more mindful. I want to mention what we're going to be talking about next week. We're going to be talking about practices that boost well-being. And mindfulness is just one. It's a profoundly important one, but it's only one. And so when people talk about doing their work and doing the work to live a more full, integrated life of well-being, they say, yeah, I want to do that, but they want specifics. So we're going to go into the specific ways to boost well-being. Thank you for joining us today. Tell your friends about this episode. Maybe there's somebody that it would be just right for them to tune in and see. And we'll see you in a week.
Bye.